Hey guys, Bunny here from Amish Bunny Survival. Before we get started with today's video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe so you can follow me for future videos. So a while back, like when I first started this several years ago, that I said I was going to be doing the old-timey way stuff and making jelly. We did my first series that I ever did on YouTube was making homemade bacon. So now I'm finally getting to doing the jelly. 2 videos ago, I did a series on juicing, well, not really a series, but a video on juicing mayhaws. And I was going to make jelly from it, but my aunt came from out of state and she hadn't had any in well over 2 years. So I went ahead and gave her that juice so she could make her own jelly. But not to worry, we're still going to be making jelly, but instead we're going to be doing wild plum. Last video I showed my plum tree and picking the berries and everything. I was talking about them, and these used to grow native here in Louisiana. You can't pick them off the tree because they're bitter. You have to pick them off the ground, and we're going to get started with making the jelly. Now this is my first time doing it by myself. I've never done jelly on my own. I've always worked with my uncle. I'm still learning, but I want to pass what I've learned from him to you. So let's get started. Let's check this out. I've done some of the first few steps, so let's take a look at what we got to do. So I had a notes made on my phone when I was working with my uncle making mayhaw jelly. So I went ahead and wrote everything down. So step 1, get the juice. Check. So I used the same method as I did with the mayhaws. I used the steamer. I've got all of this over here. Plus I've already set up for the first round of this next round to show y'all, so I don't have to try and hold the phone and pour things. Plus I already did a set. So one batch came out to be 5 pints and 1/2 pint. Things you will need: your jars with lids and rings. You're going to need, I suggest a canning set. This comes with a magnet to pick up the lids out of the boiling water. This is going to help you hold your jars because they're going to be hot, so you can screw on the lid and rings. You're going to need Sure-Gel, regular. For this is the pectin, which is going to make a jelly. A bowl for your dries. Measuring cups for your dries. Sugar. And then you will need lemon juice. Butter. This is a pack of Sure-Gel waiting over here for me. Measuring cup for your wets. I have a little bowl over here with a spoon so I can skim off the foam. The butter helps with foam, but it doesn't get all of it, so we're going to skim it off so it looks nice in the jar. Of course, something to stir with, something to cut your butter with, something to measure your lemon juice with, which is going to be a tablespoon. Your pot to make everything in. Make sure it's big enough to hold the amount. Sure-Gel used to come with inserts in the boxes to have recipes. They don't do that anymore. You have to go online. I had a copy that my uncles did. I took pictures of it. That's why I wrote everything down over there. Hot water with your lids. We'll get these boiling again. So there's that. And then, of course, all your juice. Start up. You will wash your jars, and you're going to fill them with hot water and let them sit as hot as you can get it from off your tap. If these jars have a weak spot, that will break them before you put your jelly in it, so you don't waste jelly in a jar that's weak. Once that's done, I like to lay them out on a towel. I have a hand towel over here to wipe the lids off after we fill them. And then this is going to be your funnel so that you don't spill. And I suggest a ladle to scoop everything into your jars. So let's get started. Previously I said this makes some really strong jelly. And it makes strong juice, and as you can see, this is some pretty stout looking stuff, and it is. I mean, this is somebody spilled earlier. It's gonna stain, but it's okay. That's why there's towels down. We're following the plum recipe. Usually plum recipe calls for 5.5 cups of juice. Because this is so stout, I have done 5 cups of juice, 1/2 cup of water. We're gonna do 1 packet of Sure-Gel, 1 pat of butter, that's to control the foam, and 1 tablespoon lemon juice. And you're going to bring that to a boil. So over here, I've got 5 cup juice, 1/2 cup water, butter, lemon juice, and now Sure-Gel. Let's get this started boiling. High heat so it doesn't evaporate, and you must continuously stir. And this is going to take a while, so you may want to get you a chair, a stool, listen to some music, watch a TV show, and just get into a zen state of stirring. So you don't have to sit here and be bored with me. I'll let you watch for a few minutes while I stir, and then we'll get it to the next point in the process. So hold tight. Time skip. One quick thing while I'm getting this started, I went ahead and prepped the dries before it got start boiling, and that's going to be 6.5 cups of sugar. Yeah, a lot of sugar. So, and a quick thing on this, the reason why we have to stir constantly, since it is on a high heat, you don't want this to scorch to the bottom of your pot at any point in it. So we're starting to heat up and the butter's starting to break up. So when it gets boiling, we'll be right back. Hang tight again. Okay, this is starting to boil now. So I took a second and prepped the dry materials already. I put the lids back on to boil so they'll be prepared when this is ready. So let's grab our dry components, which is the 6.5 cup of sugar, and pour it in. And then pick back up stirring continuously. You will wait till this starts getting to a rolling boil. Once it hits that rolling boil, you time it for 3 minutes exactly. So at the current moment, I am breaking up sugar into the solution, which is going to be the 5 cups juice, half cup water, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 pat of butter, 1 packet of Sure Gel, and now added to the content is going to be the 6.5 cups of sugar. This equates to close to 9 to 9.5 cups of liquid once everything is incorporated together. And continue to stir. I have it on high heat, and now we just wait. I can feel it already thickening up, and you can see that. It looks thicker. It's getting a very syrupy consistency. It is still a very dark jelly. This is actually turning out darker than I remember my dad, so I think I've made mine a little stronger than what he used to. You can still cut it more if you need to, as long as the equivalent of liquid going into start is 5.5 cups. So I did 5 cups juice, half a cup of water. If you continue to decrease it down, make whatever juice and water ratio there is still equate out to that 5.5. Now, this is a reminder that this is a plum recipe. If that was some other kind of fruit that you're going to be using, look up the exact recipe for said fruit to ensure that you get the right consistency for the amount of liquid juice to start out with. Wild plums are way strong and have to be cut, and that is why I am cutting the juice. You can also add, if you're making a batch and you're a little low on juice, what the batch called for, you can add water to bump up your batch to make it that full even amount that you need. Might be a little diluted, but you can still have enough to make sure that it will gel. Just waiting for that rolling boil. It's starting. I can feel the bubbles against the bottom of the spoon. Unlike the lids back there, they're already going. While I wait for it to boil, I'm going to put you guys down and y'all get to time skip. Unfortunately, I can't. 1 minute. It's getting closer. We are almost to that rolling boil point. I'm going to have my my fan behind me. They're going to time it for me so I don't have to worry about fighting with a timer and stirring and everything else. Okay, it's getting close. And I can feel it's getting thicker as I stir, which is a good sign. So a few more minutes and we should be ready at a rolling boil. So hang tight and wait a little bit longer with me, guys. And we are now at a rolling boil. Start timer, please. Thank you. So this is gonna go for 3 minutes. Still continue to stir, stir, stir. I'm gonna back the temp down just a little bit so we don't overflow. I'm gonna have to look into a little bit bigger pot. Once this is done, I'm going to move this from this burner over to where my towel is and my jars are set up. And that's where we start the jarring situation. And we'll get them set up and ready to roll. And I have a feeling I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the day on my day off because I still got a lot of juice. Although if you don't end up using all your juice, you can put it in freezer bags or a jug and freeze it. Just be sure to incorporate the space for when it freezes for it to expand so you don't stretch or crack your jug. You can use milk jugs, gallon Ziploc bags, and like I said, leave some space for them and they will freeze and will keep for a good while. I think my aunt said she had Mayhaw juice that was that way and she waited years, God, many years before she finally made her jelly with it, and it was still good and still made really good jelly. It hadn't spoiled since it was in the freezer and frozen. She sealed it up tight so it wouldn't get any crystals or freezer burn or anything like that in it. I think I backed it up just a little too much. Back up. That is some dark juice. So the rolling boil for 3 minutes will help set the Sure-Gel pectin and the sugar so that it'll actually turn into a jelly and not be a syrup. So give me a few more minutes, guys. Next part, I'll go ahead and move it over before I grab the phone, and I'll have it put in our other station, so hang tight. Alright, as you see, we've got everything off. I'm grabbing my lids. So this is why the magnet wand is so useful. So there's 4, that should be number 5. We'll get 1 half-pint one over here. There you go. There we go. That's 2, but that's okay. Alright. Jars are already set up. Take a spoon. Skim off that foam. Doesn't hurt anything, just makes it look a little bit more visually appealing in your jars to not have the froth on there. Still edible. This is probably going to go on toast here in a minute. Just really fluffy jelly. That's a good bit of it. Now, with my ladle, got it set up. Next, And I don't go all the way up, I give it space so I can seal it. I've figured about 3 of these based off of my scoop size. Not all ladles are made equal, so guesstimate about how much you want based off of your size. So for those who are thinking, well, why don't you just do multiple batches? You already did one, double it. It doesn't work for some reason. You can try doubling a batch and it just doesn't turn out. Patience is a virtue, and you'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way, one at a time. That was a trial and error that my dad and uncle tried so that I don't have to. Once you get everything set, you'll put your lids on, and then you will listen for a possible pop, and that will be the suction setting up in your jars. And after that, it's just a waiting game to see if you did it right or not. You won't know if this turns out proper until you actually pick up a jar and turn it, see if it's jelly or if it's syrup. Trial and error, there are mishaps that can happen, and it just doesn't work. Tip my pot up a little bit. A little more. And last but not least, my little halfer. Stay. See, we go. Always clean between each round. And then, of course, drop my lid. Take this. Don't grab with the jar where the liquid is because it's hot. You grab it here and then you'll spin on your lid. I can't do it one-handed, so hang on. Actually, scratch that. I missed a step. And that's on my fault. You wipe your jar first to clean the top. Then you lid it. Then you wing it. And then you tighten it on. So hang tight. And there we have it. So I'm going to finish these. You can also, whenever you can these, scrape off the last of the bubbles there, or you can leave it. That's your choice. Doesn't hurt anything. So we'll go back over our list. Step 1 is get the juice. Step 2 is the recipe for the wild plum or whatever jelly you're making. Bring to a boil. Add your sugar that is called for. A rolling boil. Boil it for 3 minutes. Then you'll put it in the jars that you have been prepped with hot water. Top with lids that have been boiled. And you will clean the tops, sit on a flat surface, and then leave and listen for the pop. If you have any questions, be sure to hit me up in the comments section. I will try to answer them as best I can. So I've now got to deal with that. And then dispose of the leftovers, which this is 1 gallon of berries that has been cooked down. This is what's left from my steamer. And these do have pits, so there's not a whole lot left to them. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and follow me for more videos. Later.